Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Lu, and I'm the Senior Director in Development Sciences Informatics at Genentech. I head the Data Management Engineering team. Today, I have the pleasure to talk to you about our journey that started 3 years ago, where we've set up a data strategy to address the diversity and complexity of the data landscape that we were faced with, and how we were able to turn that strategy into action. In development sciences, we have a collection of diverse data from discovery to late stage and a wide variety of data types ranging from high dimensional omics, cytometry, imaging, low dimensional, and unstructured data. 3 years ago, we did a data landscape assessment where we've identified key data challenges which informed the formation of our data management framework strategy. These challenges that we've uncovered include a highly complex and diverse data landscape, which means no one-size-fits-all solution is possible. Second, ad hoc approaches to managing data cannot keep up with the ever-expanding data volume and data types that we were facing. And earlier efforts resulted in overlapping and disconnected solutions. And lastly, varied outputs and siloed storage made organization-wide access, integration, and analysis a challenge. We recognize the criticality of data and that in order to maximize the value of our data, we must capture and organize data in a way that is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, or also known as FAIR. In doing so, this will enable our scientists to answer questions such as, what is our next drug target? What is the best treatment regimen for a patient? Are we able to compare data across different diseases? Can we use the data from past trials to inform future trial designs? By making every data point count, this moves us closer to achieving our mission to deliver the right drug for the right patient at the right dose. So what does this strategy look like? At a high level, data and its metadata, or information about the data, should be transferred in a seamless way and stored in a repository. If done correctly, minimal amount of data curation would be needed afterwards. Once it's in the repository, data should be processed systematically from its raw format into a format that can be consumed by downstream systems or analysis. And lastly, data should be pulled by downstream applications, including visualization and analytics tools using APIs. So we executed on this strategy by retrospectively curating existing data for data marts and data repository. Then we prospectively developed tools and processes and refine along the way based on the learnings. We also built data visualization tools and advanced analytics. But most importantly, we changed the way that people view data. So why do we focus on a strategy around data? A good analogy is that if we start off with some wood, we can build a nice wood cabin. However, if we were to take the wood and refine it and sort it by size and type, we can build something amazing. Similarly, if we invest in the data ecosystem that is designed and organized in a fair way, we can make the most out of our data. So it all starts off with data. Based on this 2016 data science report, data scientists spent approximately 80% of their time gathering the correct data sets and on data cleansing itself. Whereas if the data was cleansed and curated upfront, think about the amount of time this will give back to a data scientist to refine the data model or doing data mining. So within the same report, they also asked the scientists to rank the importance of machine learning in their organization. So back in 2016, this was about 76% rated their organization as rated the importance of machine learning in their organization. So now we're in 2021. I believe that if the same question were to be asked, it will be closer to 99%. So one thing to realize is that people always ask for more and more data, but it's not about more data or even big data. It's about having high quality data that can be fed into your data model. So where do we begin? As I mentioned previously, we retrospectively curated and integrated existing data for primary and secondary data analysis. And throughout this process, we learn things that can be fed into prospectively. So this involved finding the data, organizing and tagging the data with the proper metadata, and storing it in a central system. Then also data cleansing, correcting mistakes or discordance in data, transforming to standard formats such as SDTM, and also harmonizing the data to terminologies and standards such as the GDSR. So once that is done, you're then able to integrate the data from different data sources. And from that point, data can then be used in analysis. And all these steps is to make data fair, again, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, so we can get the most out of our data. And just to provide some examples of the type of scientific impact that this effort can result in, we were able to inform the study design by using historical data as a stratification factor. We were also able to enable findability of anti-drug antibody variables. We were also able to enhance study design and discover novel endpoints. And lastly, we were able to develop predictive models to inform clinical decision making of toxicity at the patient level. So what are some of the data curation lessons learned? We learned that curated data enables exciting science. In addition, based on this report from EU for cost-benefit analysis for fair research data, approximately $10 billion are lost each year, impacting the European market economy by not having fair data. So what this translates to is non-fair data puts us at a competitive disadvantage. And also legacy curation is costly and time consuming. And if we were going to do this manually, it is definitely not scalable. So what we want to do is to do this prospectively from the beginning at this planning stage. And if we can do that, we can accomplish a lot more. So how do we do this prospectively? I want to walk you through the biomarker data landscape that we created and also highlight some of the fair systems that were put in place to help us get to a data ecosystem that is fair. So in the beginning, when a study starts, there's planning stage that's involved. What assay needs to be run at the vendor site or at CRO, and what data and metadata needs to be captured and sent back to Genentech. At this stage, we want to register the data with the assay metadata, and this should also produce an assay ID that can be referenced by the vendors when they send the data back. Second, based on the data type, there should also be a unique list of data and metadata that will be required to be sent back by the vendor, and this will need to be agreed upon by all parties. Once the data gets generated, before it gets transformed, there should be conformance checks that are performed on the data itself so it can be corrected by the vendor immediately upon transfer. This will also decrease the amount of data curation, manual data curation required afterwards. Once the data lands in the data repository, it should be automatically cataloged. And based on the data type, it may also trigger some additional data processing. At the data integration step, data from different sources can then be merged and consumed on a fit-for-purpose data visualization or analytics platform. So in the next couple slides, I just want to give you a flavor of how we've leveraged AWS services for our architectural design. And I want to show you examples of our data planning and acquisition system and also our data repository system. So for our data planning and acquisition system, the web UI is developed outside of our VPC to enable our CROs to interact with the application without VPN. We have 4 different services: notification, planning, data transfer, and QC. Each service is developed by a small team and can be deployed independently. This allows each team to select the technology as they see fit. For example, transfer service can select different AWS services or programming language as the QC service. The application is based on the communication between these services. And we use 3 different types of connections to enable this inter-service communication. Messaging service for asynchronous communication, REST API, and WebSockets for communication between the web UI and the server. This application also interacts with our reference services for data standards and also uses a fan-out messaging pattern to route data to downstream applications. For our data repository, we house petabytes of exploratory biomarker data and provide a data catalog UI where scientists can easily find data for a specific study. Here, we leverage S3 for the storage, and for the metadata, it is being captured using the Amazon Relational Database Service and is standardized using the data dictionary services. Elasticsearch is also used for indexing and fast search. And there are also APIs for downstream access and the data catalog web UI that is open to everyone to search the metadata, but the file access itself is restricted to the study team members. So as you can see, we made huge progress over the last 3 years toward designing this end-to-end data ecosystem, but we're still not there yet. This year, our focus will be to build a data analytics platform to complete the whole picture from beginning to end. And the work that I presented here is done by the whole development sciences informatics team. So I want to thank the entire development sciences informatics leadership and colleagues, our informatics and scientific colleagues across Genentech and also Roche, and our partners with partnership with our scientific functions that drive the strategy and execution of the work presented here. In addition, this effort has been done in collaboration with Branch of Biosciences, EPN, Seven Bridges, and also Cloudwick. Thank you.